and being part of this session. Well, I'm privileged to have industry stalwarts like Geetha and Shekhar to share experiences, their experiences around continuous performance management. Um, Before we start, taking this journey ahead, and it's imperative to go deeper in terms of understanding, performance management. I am one of the outcome which I expect for all of us in this session in the next 30 minutes is to focus on how part of it. I think we all understand the core importance why this is there. Business leaders want this to happen, managers, it has to be part of the culture. But our intent as a group would be focused more on how do we build this culture which can help us drive continuous performance management. And before we start the conversation, I think one of the most important aspect, which is very critical to answer, is when we take a subject of continuous performance management, we need to answer what is it in for me as a team member, as an employee. I think that's the place where we should start a journey from, and then we kind of make it go progressively ahead and moving ahead from there. So, Shikhar, I'll start with you, in fact, and I'd love to hear your perspective when we look at continuous performance management. The first question which we can answer is, what does it mean for a team member and an employee? What is it in for me? Right. So, Shikhar, from your perspective on that.
I think, I would see this as two parts of the same coin. One part is the whole piece around productivity, performance. The other part is really the development of an employee, and adding it up adds up to the whole organization. Um, Pre-COVID, and let's go back to that era.
Mhm.
I think if you ask me as an employee, one of the things I would say that the distance between me, and I'm talking about an average employee, the distance
Right.
between me and the organization seems to be increasing
Right.
at one level. At another level, as an employee, I may also say, well, I don't know what I do. How does that add up to the larger part of what the company wants to achieve?
Right.
What is the interdependency between me and other parts of the team and the larger organization? If I'm a new employee in a COVID era, work from home is a bit of a nightmare because I have not been inducted enough into the organization. I'm expected to
Mhm.
work from home without sufficiently being assimilated into the organization. If I'm an employee who has been on the job for the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and I feel that I'm ready for the next role,
Mhm.
I think there is also this restlessness about when am I going to get the next role, because I believe I know everything about this particular role, whatever it has got to deliver. Forgetting the fact that if today was day one of the job that I was on the company, I may still have approached my role in a very, very different way. So I think from a point of view of an employee, and I think that's the right way to start, it helps me understand what's the bigger picture. It helps me repurpose myself to the larger cause of the organization, particularly in a COVID kind of environment. It helps me understand interdependencies between what I do and the larger purpose of the organization,
Right.
my function vis-a-vis other functions.
Right.
And I think at a very basic level, if I'm an employee who is just 60% ready for the job and the organization has taken a bet on me to take the role, I think the continuous performance management in a way helps me not only settle down in the role quickly, but also builds my confidence to do a role for which I'm just 60% ready. So I think whichever way I look at it, I think the whole piece of CPM is immensely beneficial to the employee, depending on what level he or she is at, or at what career stage the employee is at. And of course, we can get into more details of
Sure.
what kind of CPM it should be and how should it be value added. But I'll park that for now,
Sure.
and
Sure. Look, I think Shekhar, amazing perspective. Because one of the imperatives is actually to answer this question, right? Before we even go ahead in the journey of putting across, and I see clearly growth, confidence, going to the next level, visibility, contribution, purpose. I see those keywords which I hear from you, Shekhar. Geetha, from your perspective, how would you put it across answering this?
So thank you, Vipul. Happy to be here. And I want to add to what Shekhar mentioned earlier, that it has something to offer to every strata of employee, irrespective of whether somebody's a new employee or a seasoned professional in the organization. But let me start with the younger employees. I think the millennial workforce or younger people are craving for continuous feedback. In fact, for them, it is a fuel to for better productivity and better engagement. And one of the bigger asks of younger workforce is, tell me how I'm doing. And for them, the CPM works perfectly because this allows them to create a connect almost every alternate month in a formal conversation with their manager. It allows this whole CPM works on a healthy, authentic, transparent relationship between the manager and the employee. And I think this is an important connection. And like never before, the manager's role has been elevated to managing performance and engagement. I think it has never been so important. And the CPM brings that point home really strongly. The younger employee, or actually employee of any age and stature and experience, certainly will benefit from a more authentic, real, and transparent relationship with the manager. So I think for the employee, that's an important difference that a CPM can bring vis-a-vis an annual appraisal, where the only time you have a formal conversation is maybe twice a year. So one is it is catering to the younger workforce's natural need for more touch points on feedback. Second is, for all of us, we will be able to establish a more frequent, I would say, more natural relationship on and conversation on performance. When you do the mid-year and the annual performance, it seems more, you kind of set up a scene and then there is a time that is blocked for it, and the whole process seems a little forced. Whereas this becomes a more natural conversation on performance, and therefore the opportunity for giving real feedback, receiving it in the right sense, real-time feedback, etc., is so much more powerful. The other thing I would see as the employee can probably or would probably see this as a more fair process, because in an annual appraisal, or even if it's a biannual thingy, a lot of employees, I would say, who are tuned to a bit of self-promotion get away with it. Because it is all about how this conversation happens in that 1 hour, 2 hours that you're setting up, etc. It will rely on, there are so many other issues about recency effect and things like that. Right. Whereas this is a real-time conversation. It is based on recent performances and how the individual has been in the organization, recent instances, etc. So nobody needs to self-promote. Whatever you have done is visible in the near term. In 3-4 weeks, you have a conversation with your manager, and it is taken on board. So it, in a way, it's a more inclusive process, and I would see that as a very important takeaway for the employee. The last one, and I think a very, very important one, is that for the employee, this becomes performance management has always been about review and reward in the past.
Yes.
And not so much about forward coaching, helping somebody improve things, real developmental conversation, coaching, getting down to the trenches along with your employee and helping that person, through the performance struggles that they are having. It was more about looking back at what you did and saying that, okay, this is how it went and what we liked and what we did. I think that is completely getting broken down. This becomes a feed forward in a way, and therefore more enabling, therefore a more positive process. And I think it will have a direct impact on both productivity and engagement.
I think, Geeta, amazing insights you gave, and I was just jotting down the keywords which you talk about. I'm very excited with the word you use, craving, right? I think when we look at, if there is a latent need, it's not a push. Yeah. So what's very reassuring is that it's more of a pull. I think where I hear from you is that, the craving for this, help me improve better. So if that is there, what is the disconnect? Why aren't we able to successfully deploy a CPM process? You also mentioned a very interesting point over here of feedbacks and managers being better coaches. In fact, we did a study research at PeopleStrong, and we figured out around 67% of leaders who participated said that we need to deploy continuous performance management. But the challenge is that we also need better managers, better coaches, right? And that's an area which I think leaders are and managers are struggling with. And Geeta, this is a question I'll start with you, and then I'll go to Shekhar on this, is that how do we build better capability in managers? The art of giving and receiving feedbacks, right, also has a tones of conflicts, has a tones of politics and everything. So how do you build that culture where feedbacks, kind of give and take feedback, becomes more transparent and fair?
Right. So I will talk about it in two parts. So one is the mechanics of it. I mean, there are certain specific, skill about receiving and giving feedback, which can be taught, and managers can learn that over a period of time. But I think what comes in the way really is mindset and a certain way of how you have led your own career journey for the last 10 years, 15 years, in your process of growing into a manager. There is a certain way you have been dealt with yourself, and therefore you have imbibed, and that's what you're doing now. But however, the new age workforce is extremely dynamic. Not workforce, I would say the new age workplace, whether you have personally changed or not, the workplace has certainly changed. So it is more dynamic, it is more social, it is more communicative. Now, this does not come naturally to a lot of managers. There is a sense that power distance helps. Many managers genuinely believe that it is easier for them to manage performance if you maintain a power distance, or if you maintain certain hierarchical control, right? You lose out on your edge of being managed to control your team if you get to communicate with your team. I think these are mindset issues. These are worldview issues, and unless they are able to really see the value in breaking this down and figuring out what is in it for the manager to be more communicative, to be more transparent, to be more connected to their team members, I think the skill will come. But the more important part of this is about being able to shift this. I think one big takeaway for the manager, we spoke about what's the big takeaway for the employee. But I think the bigger need here, and for the employee, it's a natural craving. So we don't really have to worry there. I think the big game changer here, Vipul, and let me state that as probably the most important point, is how do we change, how do we clarify what is in it for me for the manager? Because a lot of this is not desirable for the manager. There is a more real conversations he or she will have to have. There is more authenticity that she will have to bring in her conversations. Right. She will have to prioritize this in the many other scheme of things that she may have on her plate. But I think one big reason for why she should do this or he should do this is because this allows her to manage performance more closely and in real time than nothing else can. Because the organizations are going through highly volatile times. Priorities are shifting on a monthly basis every 2 weeks and so on and so forth. And we have seen enough evidence of that in the last 4-5 months. What CPM allows us to do is to continuously keep our performance management process agile. And this is one single reason why managers should get excited about this process and not tie them up with annual targets and annual performance reviews and so on. Whether you can have continuous conversation, something big falls off the priority list, I should be able to have a conversation and say, look, this is off the list. We are working on this now. And how to keep the effort of my team continuously connected with what's most important for the organization as it is changing. I think once this is understood well, then the skill will come. Of course, there is a skill required in being able to allow for for an experience whereby employees feel free to be able to give feedback. It's about creating an environment where they are okay to do that. And that, again, is not a natural process. There is a certain fear associated with this. But I think it is a skill. It will happen, provided internally I am kind of coming around this fact that this is really important for me and it will make a difference to me as a manager. I think that's the two piece from my end on this.
No, I think amazing, Geeta. I think I see culture playing a very important role. Once you set that across, that's where you progress into the skill part of how and the art of giving and receiving. But first thing where I hear from you is to focus on the culture of driving something like this. Great.
Right.
Shekhar,
and also the rationale.
Yes.
As long as the managers understand the rationale, why I should do this.
Yes.
I think it will help.
Great. Shekhar, your views on this.
I think 2-3 things. One is in the current era, the question that you asked assumes greater significance and premium, given that employees feel disconnected, by virtue of being working at home. And I think the role that the manager needs to play, not only in trying to demand more productivity, but also do that with a development orientation, with a coaching mindset, as Geeta was alluding to earlier. I think since you talked about the how, I think 2-3 things that managers could practice. I want to share a personal story of mine where I was kind of faced with the same juncture of saying, well, while one is demanding performance, how do you do that with a coaching mindset? And one of the effective techniques I have established is to say that how much do I tell versus how much do I ask? If bulk of my interactions with others, particularly my team members, is in the area of tell, I'm basically telling them how to do their job. I'm telling them to solve a problem, etc., etc. And in that, the onus of that is actually resting with me, but not with the employee, and compromising, therefore, on the development of the employee as well. Which goes back to your first question about, are we really doing justice from an employee standpoint? When I try to shift from tell to asking questions, the onus of that really goes on to the employee, leading him or her to search for answers, search for not necessarily time-tested answers, but also a new set of answers to a different set of problems. And I think there is a huge amount of development, I think, that takes place in that whole process. And in that process, I believe I, as a manager, I grow because I try and think of higher order stuff and not necessarily go down one level below. And in the same fashion, the employee also starts to thinking of trying to solve his or her problem at a different level. To me, this very simple technique of telling versus asking questions and enabling the employee to find answers, I think has been a big bonus for me. I think the second one really is that as practicing managers, we are responsible to finding solutions. And when we are trying to find solutions, there is a discount to time. We want to do it today, now. We want to assume the role of problem solver. And in that process, we perhaps form judgments, quick judgments about how things are getting done and, how was it done in my time 5 years ago, and so on and so forth. And I think, again, the whole aspect of saying that as a manager, am I currently being relevant to the problem on hand? What may have gotten done in my time may not necessarily be relevant now. And therefore, how do I suspend judgments about what is happening around me, what is happening vis-a-vis the team? And instead of that, go back again on the first part of asking real questions. And the third part, which is very difficult, I must say, as a practicing manager, I struggle with this a lot and it doesn't come easy, is how do I put myself in the other person's shoes? How do I practice empathy? How do I, look at it purely from that individual standpoint, the way he or she is viewing the problem on hand, the way he or she is viewing the solutions and the levers to do that. I must say it has been a bit of a struggle, and this duality of demanding productivity on one end, yet doing that with a development lens, with a coaching lens, I think is a balance that I'm on a journey on.
Very interesting perspective.
I must confess.
Yes, very interesting perspective. We have some set of questions which are coming from the audience, which we'll take. But both of you, in fact, this conversation is going very interestingly. We've kind of inversed the pyramid from an employee to a manager. But my next question, in fact, Shekhar, I'll ask you and then Geeta to you, is the change starts at the top, right? And I think as leaders, this is where we need to kind of initiate any change, right? And to drive a process like this requires a certain set of leadership style, right? And what is an one pointer advice you would give to business leaders that this is the kind of leadership style or a management style you need to inculcate to drive, because we know the benefits of CPM. I think we're not here just discussing benefits of CPM. We know it impacts productivity, it impacts performance, it impacts development for people. The challenge is, how do we do that? One of the questions which came out from the from the audience is also time. How much time does it take, right? If it's part of the ritual, I think you would not even ask for a time because it's part of a process. But I think the change starts at the top. So would you want to address this, that what kind of a leadership style do you should possess, and that's to successfully drive a process like this, Shekhar?
I think in the current times, one of the big things we need to do from a leadership style and leadership orientation, and not getting into mindset and other pieces of things that we have spoken about, but really to say that at one level, and I see this over my careers, I see one leadership style which is tentative, which asks a lot of questions, which does not have all the answers, which is open to exposing its vulnerabilities, chinks in the armor, which may sometimes be accused of not moving very quickly. That's one leadership style, yet gets the job done. The other leadership style are, fist pumping, high energy, rally the troops, go rah-rah, task is more important than people, so on and so forth. I have seen both these leadership styles work beautifully depending on the context of the organization, culture, and the problem resolved to be attended to. I am increasingly now believing that the former leadership style, with some degree of trying to be a little bit more aggressive and show some more energy, perhaps is a style that I think I would like to imbibe and perhaps take that forward. It's very different. It's very difficult for the energy guy to don his or her colors and move to the first leadership style. But the first one, attempting somewhat to create a little bit of energy, because in today's age, people need energy, people need hope, people need a little bit of a fist thumping, to some extent. And I think if I was to just break that down from a CPM perspective, I think our CPM perhaps needs to be more agile, which is to say it can't be every quarter, it can't be every every year. It has to be more frequent, more real time. I think it has to be courageous. It needs to call the bluff out. It needs to call the fluff out. It needs to really focus on objectivity and authenticity. And I think the CPM needs to imbibe a high degree of trust in the organization. It alone can't build a trust, but it will have to contribute to the leadership in trying to create, that degree of trust. I think these are the three things from a leadership style I would certainly put forward.
Great perspective, Shekhar. Geeta, your opinion on this?
Yeah, thank you. And I totally agree with what Shekhar said. A combination of empathy, authenticity, and vulnerability probably is the need of the hour. Now, all of these words we don't necessarily use with leadership in the past. That is more about knowing all the answers, being able to show the way. But when the way is not clear, when things out there are hazy, when we are discovering as we go, then we need more tentativeness in the way we approach things, and that will naturally allow people to therefore, be equally vulnerable with you and then walk with you in the journey. So I think I would endorse everything that Shekhar mentioned. CPM, in a way, is both responsive to changing priorities of the organization. So you don't get fixated with the certain sets of goals that you had set in the beginning of the year. So it allows for that responsiveness to happen. At the same time, it is future focused and not reviewing the past. So in a great way, it is kind of, the time is right for the leadership to adopt CPM as a natural movement forward from the ranking and annual appraisal processes that we used for performance management. From and beyond everything that Shekhar mentioned, I would only say that for managers and business leaders, one element that I have strongly believed in my career, and I think it has benefited me and those who have worked with me, is to adopt a growth mindset. A belief that everything can be continuously improved, that nothing is static, that you fail fast, and it is okay to fail fast, that you accept the challenges, that you are able to embrace feedback, that you learn from other successes and from your successes and your own mistakes as well. Vis-a-vis a fixed mindset, which is to say that I know it all, this is what it is, and I have the answers, and so forth. So I think growth mindset to be adopted as a philosophy in the organization by the leaders and the managers is a great way to embrace this. Along with that, there is another small element that I would use because we are talking developmental conversations, and CPM allows you to manage productivity and engagement at the same time, which is a unique combination. And
Right.
if we were to believe that better engaged people perform better, then this is a great process to use.
Absolutely.
While we talk development and in the conversation, if you're having this half an hour, 1 hour, and the great thing is that you don't need to have a 2-hour conversation. You can have a 20 minutes with somebody, and
Right.
that can be a great
Right.
motivator as well.
Right.
So in this 20-minute conversation, to focus on a strength mindset is another thing that I have seen work. All of us bring our strengths, and we are at our best when we play to our strengths.
Right.
So there is a natural tendency for many managers to zero in on what's not okay, and therefore give feedback around that, and try to build that, etc., which is great. I mean, as when you are a young professional, it certainly helps because you need to still come round and kind of smoothen out your edges. But as you go along, it's great to know what my strengths are and to be in roles and tasks that fully leverage that. And as my manager, I would really value the feedback that my manager is giving me, saying that you did this exceptionally well, and this is really where you come out the best. And as I'm doing that, I find ways to manage my other development needs, and he or she helps me work around those as well. But I think both growth mindset and strength mindset I would endorse very strongly as philosophies of leadership, in addition to everything that Shekhar mentioned.
Got it. Geeta, one of the difficult jobs which has been given to me is to also do a time check. So
Okay.
I think understanding the passion and the depth of, I request SHRM to kind of organize this session at a slightly larger length, because these are topics where you get engrossed into it. But one quick question which I would like to seek, if time permits, Ashish, will we get a minute more if we can do that? A very interesting question, which, yes, I've been given a go ahead. Thank you. Very interesting question the audience has put across. Tips to make performance management more fun and less painful for non-HR people in the organization. So, Shekhar, a quick answer on that.
I think it's important to perhaps establish some kind of rituals. For example, 1 month could just be about ritual around thanking everybody, gratitude, good work done, as Geeta talked about, play to their strengths. So 1 month is just on that. Second month is perhaps just about it's a challenge ritual. Do something you've never done before. If you are working in one department, go and do something in some other department. And look at it from a development and a performance lens point of view. A third ritual is to say that, look, be the boss for 1 day. Come sit in my chair, and how will you do on the department? How will you run the team? I think there are plenty of ideas around making this fun. But I think while attempt to do that, I think it should result in something tangible for the employee concerned, who actually is the center of the fun.
I will give this input to Pankaj for sure. One, I love the idea of 1 day being the boss. So, Geeta, yes, from yours.
Yeah, just one more thing to add on that. I would say that one way to make it fun would be to give interesting challenges to your team. which can be quick and simple challenges, and challenges in areas where they have not done much work in the past, and things that really push them beyond their comfort zone. For instance, if somebody is very shy of making a presentation and being out there and conversing with large groups, give that person an opportunity to lead your team presentation the next time. And so small challenges where the person can explore skills and capabilities that is otherwise latent, could be one way to make this fun.
Great.
Right.
Great. Thank you, Shekhar and Geeta. I think phenomenal inputs. I hope the audience gained a lot from the experience. Like I said, that 30 minutes does not do justice to a topic like this. Maybe next time we will have a larger. But my takeaways from the sessions, if I have to put a couple of keywords, I think one is the intent part of it, where we're talking about at the intent level. Second is a growth mindset as an organization and people. How do we do that? Trust is a very critical component, which I could hear from both of you. Agility has been repeated a couple of times, so I think that's something which reinforces, right? And transparency, I think that's the fundamental ethos of driving something like this. So thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate your insights. I know people would be, there would be a lot of questions. Maybe they can reach out to you individually.
Sure.
So over to you, Ashish, from our side.